VA home loan eligibility and how to know if you are eligible to use your VA home loan and who is eligible to use their VA home loan benefits. Everybody, welcome back. Aaron Dehart here. Hey, if you're just joining us for the first time or just watching the first one of these videos, please give us a like and a subscribe. It helps our channel grow, helps the almighty YouTube algorithm keeping our videos going out there so that we can get more good educational information out there to people who need it. So today we're going to talk about VA loan eligibility and who is eligible for that VA loan and how to determine if you specifically that are watching this video have VA loan benefits. Now, the first thing I always tell people, and you'll see me harp on this a lot in all of my loans regarding the VA, all of my videos regarding the VA home loan is step number one, just get your certificate of eligibility ordered. Literally 9 times out of 10, I can put your information in or someone on the team puts your information in to the VA website and it gives us back your VA certificate of eligibility. Every once in a while, my Guard and Reserve guys and gals, which we're going to cover today in this video, we might have to do some extra stuff. So let's get right to it. Who is eligible for the VA loan? Now, there's literally 9 different groups that this video is going to be broken into, and I'm going to go into each one in pretty good detail just so you have a good idea of what group you're going to fit into and what needs to be done to make sure that we're getting your eligibility. So group number 1, and I have some notes here, so I apologize in advance if I look down, but I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. So group number 1 is those who have served during any of 3 specific wartime periods, okay? So those are namely World War II, the Korean War, and then also the Vietnam War. If you or someone you know that is looking to get VA home loan information served at least 90 days during any of those periods, during any of those wars, they are automatically eligible for the VA home loan. So again, that's World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. If they served at least 90 days during any of those periods, they have VA loan eligibility. Group number 2 is going to be those that served after September 25th, 1940, and were discharged or released from active duty for a service-connected disability. Okay, so what that means is, let's say someone goes in on September 27th, 1941, and 6 months later they get injured and are getting a medical discharge. They are eligible. It doesn't matter how long you were in after this date. It can literally be 1 day, or it could be an entire year, or you could have entered into service after that date and did an entire 20-year career. But if you entered in after September 25th, 1940, and were discharged or released from active duty for a service-connected disability, you're going to have VA loan eligibility. Group number 3, those who served during peacetime after the 25th of September 1940 are going to be eligible if you served 181 days continuous active duty. So let's say you went in on September 26, 1940, and you served for at least 181 days of continuous active duty service, and day 182, day 183 came, and they're like, you know what, the war's over, thank you for your service, we're discharging you. You have VA home loan eligibility. And you must have received a discharge that was other than dishonorable. Okay, group number 4, those that have served or served in active duty capacity during the Gulf War. So there's a minimum active duty service requirement of at least 90 days on active duty during the Gulf War period. And there's 2 caveats behind this. So A was what I just said, at least 90 days on active duty during the Gulf War period. And then B, the shorter of 24 continuous months of active duty or the full period for which you were called or ordered to active duty. And C, at least 90 days if you were discharged for a hardship or a reduction in force. And this date is beginning on August 2nd, 1990 and after. So what does that mean? So if during any of this time you're on active duty for at least 90 days, you're going to be eligible for the VA loan as long as you are receiving a discharge that is other than dishonorable. Group number 5. Those that have served in the selected reserve, and this is going to include all of your guard units. So if you're in the Army Guard, the Air National Guard, things of those nature, that falls under the selected reserve. So this includes all guard units, the Army Guard, Army Reserve, Air Guard, Air Force Reserve, Naval Reserve, Marine Corps Reserves, and also the Coast Guard Reserves. If you've been serving for at least 6 years in a reserve or a guard capacity, and you've never been activated on active duty orders, but you've done 6 years, meaning you've done your drill every month, and you've done at least your 2 years active duty every single year for at least 6 years, but you've never been deployed or you've never gotten activated to active duty, you are going to have VA home loan eligibility. If you have been activated prior to those 6 years for 90 continuous days on either Title 10 or Title 32 orders, then you have home loan eligibility. So what does that mean? Let's say you've been in the Air Guard at your local city for 3.5 years and you go and get deployed for 6 months. You are activated on Title 10 or Title 32 orders and you are active duty for 6 months. You haven't had your 6 years with that Air Guard unit yet, but because you got activated on active duty, that surpasses that 6-year time frame, and you now have the eligibility because you got activated to active duty for your VA home loan eligibility. Now, this can be a combination too. I've had guys and gals that were in the Air Guard for 4 or 5 years. They got out, went and did something else for a few years, came back, rejoined that unit, and we're now in for another 2 or 3 years. They've now got a combined service commitment of over 6 years, so that counts as well too. Now, here's something else to think about. If you were discharged prior to those 6 years without ever being activated, you still might be eligible, okay? If you were released by a service-connected disability. So let's say you've been in for 4.5 or 5 years and you're doing a guard drill and you get injured and it's a medical discharge. Because you got injured while on duty, they're going to consider that a service-connected disability. So just because you might have been in the guard or reserve unit for only 4 years and never got activated, I don't want you to rule yourself out with that. We always want to make sure we're having a conversation just to make sure that we've explored all avenues with that. And again, the 6 years don't have to be consecutive. They can be a combination of different things. And a lot of times, we'll have people that were active duty. They get out of active duty, but they go and join a guard or reserve unit. That's very common as well. So they get to combine those times together of active duty and their guard or reserve time. Group number 6, this is spouses of deceased veterans. So you must be considered a surviving spouse, and your spouse must have passed either in service or due to a service-related disability. And also, that spouse can never have remarried until a certain age. So let's take, for example, a lot of our Vietnam War era heroes unfortunately suffered from Agent Orange. So we see a lot of service-connected disability associated with the Agent Orange from the Vietnam War. And those veterans passed away due to complications from the Agent Orange. Their surviving spouse can inherit their VA home loan benefits. Group number 7. This is a member of one of the 4 military service academies. So West Point, the Naval Academy, the Air Force Academy, and the Coast Guard Academy. Now, there's an example if someone has gone to the academy and they didn't go to the whole 4 years, that might be eligible. Let's take, for example, someone right after the Gulf War. They went and applied, got an appointment to the Air Force Academy, and all of a sudden after 2 years, the Gulf War is over, they downsize, and either that person asked to be discharged or they're doing voluntary discharge. That person may still have eligibility for the VA loan for their time attending the service academies. Group number 8, this is Public Help Service Corps officers. These are active duty PHS officers and they can actually apply for eligibility for the VA loan after 90 days of continuous service. Group number 9 is merchant Marines who served on active duty from December 7th, 1941, the date that we were attacked on Pearl Harbor, up to August 15th, 1945, so the end of World War II, or who also served on the block ships during Operation Mulberry. And you don't need to necessarily meet your eligibility because of these things. Here's something I want you to think of. Just because you don't fit into any of these categories properly or fully doesn't mean you might still not have eligibility. So for example, if you had an extreme hardship, if it was convenience of the government, you were in one of those times when all of a sudden the military is like, oop, we're downsizing, and they let a whole bunch of people go, but you don't necessarily have the time in, you could still meet those eligibility requirements. Or a reduction in force. Certain medical conditions that could be deemed that you are no longer fit for service, and they did an honorable discharge for you. And finally, you have a service-related disability. Like I used the example earlier, you got injured severely enough while on duty that they're medically discharging you. So these are all things to think about. Those are the 9 groups of eligibility that you're going to fall under some way to have your eligibility for the VA home loan. Guys, give us a like and a comment below. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions on that. Again, my number one suggestion, always the path of least resistance, get your certificate of eligibility first. We can order it from you, and literally, like I said, 9 times out of 10, as long as you've got the allotted time in there, we're going to pull that eligibility for you right away. It literally comes up that quick. Every once in a while, and it's typically with my Guard and Reserve guys and gals, there's a little bit more information we have to get for you that we can help you get. That's easy to get. Once we get that, we upload it to the VA and get that. I'll cover that in another video for my Guard and Reserve guys and gals. Again, thanks for watching. Please make sure to give us a like and subscribe, and we will see you soon.